So I gotta tell you guys, one of my favorite things, and I mean this with all forms of sarcasm that I possibly can mean with this next statement, one of my favorite things is when companies want to come out and virtue signal to everybody about how America is so god-awfully terrible and how we have essentially stolen land from indigenous people, and we need to give the land back to those indigenous people. Now, mind you, those companies are operating on lands that were supposedly stolen from indigenous people. Are they going to be the first ones to give up that land? Absolutely not. Are they going to be the first ones to make the move, to make change, the change that they say they want to make, the change that they say they want to see? Absolutely not. No, of course not. Ladies and gentlemen, who am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about none other than good old Ben & Jerry's. Ben & Jerry's came out with a comment, and they are now getting the Bud Light treatment after claiming that on July 4th that the U.S. sits on stolen indigenous land. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's the same old tried and true trope, the same old stupid argument that people want to talk about, that land is stolen, blah, 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 where at the end of the day, anybody with a brain knows that all countries pretty much were founded on some sort of conquest. All countries were founded by land being taken away from previous owners. The weak get conquered and the strong survive. That's just the truth of it. As much as you maybe don't want to hear it, at the end of the day, life in real life is not a pretty picture. So we're going to get into the article, guys, but of course, before we do, just consider giving this video a like to push us out into the YouTube algorithm, and consider subscribing because we're on our way to 25,000 subscribers. So we have a headline here from Fox Business that says Ben & Jerry's customers are calling for a Bud Light style boycott of the ice cream brand after it blasted the U.S. as existing on stolen land this weekend. The company's official Twitter account called on customers to commit to returning indigenous land and said they should start with Mount Rushmore. Social media users expressed outrage at the timing of the statement, which landed on Independence Day. Ladies and gentlemen, one of my responses, and I did respond to Ben & Jerry's, I simply said what I think everybody else is going to be thinking, right? So if you're making the call, right, if you're an American-based company, right, you have an operation in this country, you are making the decision to do this virtue signal, right? So if that is the case, why are you not the first ones to be giving up this indigenous land that you want to say is stolen? Why are you not the first ones to be giving up the land and giving up the money that you're profiting from operating on that land? Now, we all know the answer to that, obviously, right, ladies and gentlemen? We all know the answer, and the answer is simply this. They are virtue signaling. They don't actually mean what they say. They just know that the cool thing for the liberals is to go against anything that's happening right now that is pro-America. So if July 4th is coming around, and this is what I hate about July 4th. July 4th, you get all the virtue signals who want to talk about how terrible America is while having the freedom to do so, which the freedom is afforded to them by America. That's the funny thing. Like, it's afforded to them by the United States of America, but they want to complain about how bad the United States is. It's really just a catch-22 at the end of the day. It's really sad, but still, these people don't know what the hell oppression really means. They are so comfortable that they have to create oppression in their mind, because if they cannot create it, then their lives are just too good and they can't complain, and that's what they want to really do. They want to sit there on their iPhones drinking the Starbucks and complain, because that's what freedom allows you to do. That's what a comfortable life allows you to do. It says this 4th of July, it's high time we recognize that the U.S. exists on stolen indigenous land and commit to returning it, Ben & Jerry's wrote on its Twitter account, linking to a blog post on the topic. The 4th of July. Who doesn't love a good parade, some tasty barbecue, and stirring fireworks display? The company wrote. The only problem with all that, though, is that it can distract from an essential truth about this nation's birth. The U.S. was founded on stolen indigenous land. Ladies and gentlemen, every country was conquered at some point in time, okay? Every single country was conquered at some point in time. You think that all countries were willingly given up? No, that is not the case. Now, you can be sad all you want for indigenous people. If that's what you want to spend your time focusing on, by all means, do your thing. But at the end of the day, the country that you are complaining about, you have the ability to complain about it because the country that was birthed from that stolen indigenous land far outweighs the land itself that was taken in the first place, in my opinion. The country is that good. Yes, we do have our problems. Absolutely. Every single country has their problems, but America is filled with the freedom that allows you to say and do certain things. One of which is complain all day online, of course. So it says this year, let's commit to returning it. Here's why we need to start with Mount Rushmore. No, let's start with your company. How about that? Let's start with where you're located, okay? Like, why don't we start with where you're located? I believe their headquarters is in Vermont, if I'm I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. But let's start with the headquarters. How about we tear down the headquarters of your company, right? And just give that land to indigenous people. Why not? Why not? Why not? Why are you such... I hate this. I really do. I really hate this with all my possible being because it's nothing but hypocrisy. The entire thing is hypocrisy. You guys don't really want to do any change. And if it's change, you don't want it to come from you. You want it to come from everybody else because you don't want to lose what you have. You don't want to lose the millions of dollars that you have. You don't want to lose your place in society, but you want other people to give up their land. You want to start with Mount Rushmore. There's been a real attack going on Mount Rushmore lately. Like a lot of liberals and a lot of left-leaning talking avenues are all talking about taking Mount Rushmore and giving it back to indigenous people. It really is kind of stupid at the end of the day. But again, what would you expect from these shill companies? Of course. So it says the online backlash was near instantaneous with many users calling for a boycott of the brand. Jeremy Redfern, press secretary for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, responded simply, "No, it doesn't," to the claim that the U.S. exists on stolen land. Make Ben & Jerry's Bud Light again, singer-songwriter John Rich wrote. I agree with that. Long overdue for the Bud Light treatment. You hate the country, fine. We won't buy your product. All good, another user responded. And that's really how you should respond to all of this. That is how everybody should respond to this, right? So if you disagree with this statement, then show them. The only way you can show them is by not buying their product. They are so safe. They feel so unbelievably safe. I want to make that very clear. The only reason why they're making these comments is because Ben & Jerry's feels very safe. They feel like they could get away with it. They feel like they could say absolutely anything they want and they will not have to deal with the Bud Light situation. So I hope that we can prove them otherwise and that you guys who love ice cream will decide to go with another product and say fuck Ben & Jerry's and keep it moving, because that's what needs to happen. Now, obviously, I'm not stupid. I know not everybody's going to boycott Ben & Jerry's, if anybody even boycotts it at all at the end of the day. It's just ice cream. But the thing is, just like beer, ice cream is readily available from many different competitors, right? So that's the reason why Bud Light took so much loss in sales, is because everybody and their mother makes a beer. Well, guess what? Everybody and their mother also makes an ice cream. So you don't have to go to Ben & Jerry's. You can literally go to anybody else you want. There is multiple different avenues for you to explore that doesn't involve Ben & Jerry's. So it says, I look forward to the virtue signaling. Ben & Jerry's returning their factory's land to the Abenaki and Mohican Native Americans that have lived in Vermont for 10,000 years, under the user wrote. Oh, there you go. Exactly. See? So I was right. They are located in Vermont. And here you go. They built their land on stolen indigenous land. So please, give it up, Ben & Jerry's. Give up your headquarters. Do me that favor and give up your headquarters. Prove to us that you truly believe every single word that you're saying. I want to see you make that decision. If you do that, then I'll talk about potentially giving up some land to indigenous people. But I am so confident that you will not give up your headquarters and tear it down and give up that land to indigenous people. Because, and honestly, at the end of the day, I would be highly shocked if that was the case. But we all know this is nothing but a virtue signal. It is nothing but them trying to get online points for people who hate America, because that's who they want their customers to be. They're trying to attract the people who hate America to buy their product. That's essentially what they're doing. It's really quite sad that we can't even have the national holiday of July 4th anymore without some fucking moron company like Ben & Jerry's trying to make a political statement. It really is unbelievably pathetic, and I do hope that even if it's a slight boycott, even if it's a slight shift in movement in sales, I hope they do lose a ton of money, because at the end of the day, Ben & Jerry's does not care about you as a customer, and they damn sure don't care about the country that has afforded them millions and millions in dollars. Goes to show how people, once they have money, they completely forget where they came from. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy, and if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.